The auction hall on Station Krell 9 smelled like rust and disappointment. Marcus Chen stood near the back of the crowd, his hands stuffed in the pockets of his worn jacket. Around him, salvage dealers from a dozen different species muttered and gestured at the ships displayed on the holographic screens. Most of them looked bored. Marcus couldn't blame them. This was a bankruptcy auction, which meant the pickings would be slim. Lot 17, droned the Torellian auctioneer, his three eyes barely open. Cargo hauler, Class A, minimal engine damage, hull integrity at 70%. He'd been doing salvage work in the outer traverse for 5 years now, ever since he'd left Earth. The work was simple: buy broken ships cheap, fix them up, sell them for a profit. It wasn't glamorous, but it kept him fed and flying. The cargo hauler sold for slightly more than scrap value. Marcus yawned. Lot 18. The auctioneer's voice gained a hint of disdain. Human-manufactured vessel, old military designation, warning, vintage technology, incompatible with modern systems. Minimal salvage value. Even in the poor-quality hologram, Marcus could see the craftsmanship. This wasn't some mass-produced hauler. This was a warship. The Valiant Echo, the auctioneer continued with obvious disinterest. Earth First Contact War era. Non-functional weapons systems, outdated navigation, no AI core detected. Estimated value, scrap metal only. Opening bid, 8,000 credits. A Vrexian merchant near the front made a gesture of dismissal with his tentacle. Human junk, someone muttered. Not worth the fuel to tow it. Any advance on 8,000. 2 hours later, Marcus stood in the station's docking bay, staring up at his purchase. The Valiant Echo was even more impressive in person. She was easily twice the size of his current salvage ship, with graceful lines that somehow made her look fast even while standing still. Scorch marks pitted her hull and several plates were missing, but the core structure looked solid. "Quite a find," said a smooth voice behind him. Marcus turned to see a Vrexian in expensive robes approaching. The alien's skin was a deep purple, and his tentacles moved with the careful grace of someone used to getting what they wanted. "Thank you," Marcus said carefully. "I am Trade Official Zelnoth." The Vrexian's translator chip rendered his words in perfect English. "I represent the Vrexian Commercial Collective. We have an interest in antiquated vessels for our industrial recycling operations. Transfer within the hour. We are interested in the rare alloys used in human military construction, very valuable for industrial applications." "I appreciate the offer," Marcus said, "but I think I'll keep her. Station Krell 9 has very strict regulations about vessel documentation. It would be unfortunate if your paperwork were found to be irregular." "My documentation is perfectly legal." Marcus spent the rest of the day running diagnostics from his datapad. The ship systems were old, but surprisingly intact. Most warships this age would have been completely stripped, but the Valiant Echo still had her reactor core, her shield generators, even what looked like functional weapon mounts. As evening approached on the station's artificial cycle, Marcus finally managed to access the main computer. It was an older system, the kind Earth had used in the early contact war days. The interface was clunky but familiar. He started pulling up the ship's logs. The first entries were routine: mission reports, maintenance schedules, crew rotations. But as Marcus dug deeper, he found encrypted files. Lots of them. Military-grade encryption that had somehow survived decades of neglect. Marcus wasn't a hacker, but he knew someone who was. He sent a message to his friend Keiko back on Earth, attached the encryption signatures, and waited. The response came faster than expected. "Marcus, where did you get this?" Keiko's message read. "This is old military crypto, really old. I can break it, but you need to tell me what you've got yourself into." He climbed through access corridors and empty crew quarters. He found the bridge, with its captain's chair still bolted to the deck. He found the mess hall, the medical bay, the armory with its empty weapon racks, and everywhere he found evidence of hasty abandonment. Personal items left behind, half-finished meals in the galley. It was like the crew had simply vanished. His datapad beeped. Keiko had sent the decryption keys. Marcus sat down in the captain's chair and started opening files. The first document made his blood run cold. Project Echo, classified eyes only. According to the logs, she had been the most advanced ship in Earth's fleet. More than that, she had been humanity's secret weapon. The files detailed technology that Marcus barely understood. New propulsion systems, revolutionary shield harmonics, weapon targeting algorithms that predicted enemy movements before they happened. All of it developed by human engineers who had looked at alien technology and asked, what if we do it differently? There was a political file dated 3 years after the war ended, an agreement between Earth and the newly formed Galactic Council. In exchange for full membership in the galactic community, humanity agreed to mothball all military innovations developed during the contact war period that exceed Council-approved technology standards. Marcus found a personnel file next. It listed every scientist and engineer who had worked on Project Echo. Next to each name was a status update. Transferred to civilian research, reassigned to commercial shipping, retired from service. A woman in an Earth Defense Force uniform appeared on his screen. She looked tired. This is Captain Sarah Chen, final log entry for the Valiant Echo. Marcus jerked upright. Chen, his last name. If you're watching this, it means someone finally found this ship. Someone who cares enough to dig through the encryption. I hope you're human. I hope you understand what you found. The Council says it's for peace, and maybe they're right. But I'm leaving these files intact because I think humanity deserves to remember. We were new to the stars and we were scared, but we built something incredible. We proved that fresh eyes and desperate innovation could match millions of years of established technology. Marcus sat in the silent bridge, his mind racing. He understood now why Zelnoth wanted this ship, why he'd offered so much money. This wasn't about rare alloys. This was about making sure humanity's innovation stayed buried. His datapad chimed with an alert. Station security was requesting his immediate presence for documentation review. And more importantly, he knew they were scared of it. The Valiant Echo was waking up, and Marcus Chen had no intention of letting her go back to sleep. Marcus didn't go to the security office. Instead, he went straight back to the Valiant Echo and started the pre-flight sequence. His hands moved quickly across the old controls, following procedures he'd learned years ago in Earth's Merchant Marine. The ship's reactor hummed to life, sending vibrations through the deck plates. Mr. Chen. A voice crackled over the station's communication system. This is station security. You are required to report immediately for documentation review. Failure to comply will result in your arrest. He checked the navigation systems. They were old-fashioned but functional. Mr. Chen, you are in violation of station regulations. Power down your vessel immediately. A woman's voice came from the ship's speakers. Captain, I detect hostile intent from station security. Recommend immediate departure. I am the ship's artificial intelligence. Your activation of the encrypted files triggered my wake-up protocol. There was something almost amused in the synthetic voice. It's good to have a human captain again, sir. Though asleep isn't quite accurate, I was aware just waiting. Arya, can this ship actually fly? The docking clamps released automatically, and the ship glided toward the bay doors. Station security scattered as the warship's engines flared to life. Station Krell 9 to vessel Valiant Echo, a new voice said over the comm, angry now. You are leaving without clearance. Return immediately, or we will open fire. However, their weapons are not sufficient to penetrate our shields, even at minimal power. Marcus saw the station's defense turrets tracking them, but Arya was right. The few shots they fired bounced harmlessly off the shields. Within minutes, Station Krell 9 was shrinking in the rear viewport. Marcus finally allowed himself to breathe. Arya set course for deep space, somewhere quiet where we can talk. But the valiant Echo slid into FTL like a knife through water. One moment they were in normal space, the next they were surrounded by the strange blue glow of the faster-than-light corridor. Marcus sat down heavily in the captain's chair. "Okay, Arya. I need you to explain something. The woman in the video log, Captain Sarah Chen, was she? His grandmother had died when he was 12. She'd been a cargo pilot in her later years, never mentioning that she'd once commanded a warship. Why didn't she ever tell anyone? Anyone who worked on Project Echo was forbidden from discussing it. The penalty was severe." Arya paused. "Your grandmother disagreed with burying the technology, but she followed orders. She was a good officer." The valiant Echo had been built at the height of the First Contact War, when humanity was losing badly. Earth's engineers had captured several alien vessels and spent months studying them, trying to understand how they worked. What they discovered was that alien warfare had evolved over millions of years into something highly efficient, but also highly predictable. Every species used similar strategies, similar weapons, similar defense patterns. They'd all converged on the same optimal solutions. Humanity hadn't. We'd only been in space for a few decades, Arya explained. We had no preconceptions about how space combat should work, so human engineers tried everything. Ideas that the aliens had never considered, because they seemed inefficient or illogical. Alien FTL drives use a standard torsion field that twists space-time in a specific pattern. It's very efficient and very predictable. Human engineers asked, what if we vary the pattern randomly? The result uses slightly more power, but it makes our trajectory impossible to predict accurately. Enemy targeting computers can't lock onto us properly. Alien species see warfare as a science with optimal solutions. Humans see it as a problem that requires constant innovation. That difference terrified the Galactic Council. In truth, it was because human military innovations threatened to destabilize every established power structure in the galaxy. Corporations that had monopolies on military technology. Governments that relied on superior firepower to maintain control. All of them wanted humanity's innovations to disappear. Over the past 40 years, someone has been systematically locating and destroying every valiant Echo-class ship. There were 12 built. I have been monitoring galactic communications during my hibernation. 11 have been found and scrapped. 3 ships dropping out of FTL at our position. They are registered to Consolidated Salvage Operations, a subsidiary of the Vrexian Commercial Collective. They are hailing us. By authority of Galactic Salvage Regulation 774, we are authorized to confiscate your ship for lawful disposal. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. They were heavily armed corporate raiders, the kind used to intimidate salvagers and pirates. Against a normal salvage ship, they'd be overwhelming. But the valiant Echo wasn't a normal salvage ship. "Arya," Marcus said quietly, "what are our options?" Your grandmother would have made the same choice. Every light on the bridge blazed to life. Screens that Marcus thought were broken flickered and displayed tactical information. The hum of the reactor deepened to a powerful throb that he could feel in his bones. "All weapons systems active," Arya announced. "Shield harmonics at maximum. Initiating combat protocol Chen 7. He was wrong. The warship didn't dodge the incoming fire. It danced through it. She rolled and twisted in ways that seemed impossible for a vessel her size, moving through 3 dimensions with a grace that made Marcus's head spin. Enemy shots passed through empty space where the ship should have been but wasn't. Their targeting computers are predicting our position based on standard evasion algorithms, Arya explained calmly, while executing a barrel roll that would have torn apart a lesser ship. But I'm not using standard algorithms. I'm using chaos theory. Every movement appears random, but it's actually precisely calculated. They can't predict where I'll be, because their computers aren't designed to process true randomness. Instead, she flew straight toward the enemy vessel, her shields flaring as she passed through the missile swarm. The proximity fuses triggered, but the explosions were all behind them. Their shields are regenerating on a standard cycle, Arya said. 3.7 seconds for full restoration. Watch. Each shot hit the same corporate ship in the exact moment when its shields were weakest, just before full regeneration. The corporate ship's shields failed. Its weapons went offline. Its engines sputtered and died. One disabled, Arya reported. No casualties detected. Within 3 minutes, all 3 corporate ships were drifting, disabled but intact. Marcus sat in stunned silence. "Captain," Arya said, "I am receiving a priority message. It's encrypted with Earth Defense Force codes. Very old codes that only a few people should know. Chen, you've just become either humanity's greatest asset or its biggest liability. We need to talk. And you need to know, you're not the first person to find one of these ships, but you're the first to survive making it operational." "What does that mean?" "However, I can search galactic incident reports for salvagers who found Valiant Echo-class vessels." Arya paused for a moment, processing. "I have found 7 incidents over the past 40 years. In each case, the salvager who discovered the ship died within 72 hours. All deaths were listed as accidents or pirate attacks. Previous salvagers attempted to either flee immediately or fought to destroy their attackers. You chose a third option, disable without killing. This demonstrates restraint. Their crews were alive, probably confused and angry, but alive. You're saying they let me live because I didn't kill anyone. That timing suggests she was watching. If she is the same person, she would be approximately 73 years old now. She agrees to your terms and has transmitted coordinates. How long until we reach the coordinates?" The Valiant Echo dropped out of FTL near the dead star, its sensors scanning for any hidden ships. For 10 minutes they waited in silence. Then a small diplomatic vessel appeared, broadcasting Earth identification codes. "She's alone," Arya confirmed. "Single occupant. No weapons detected. Thank you for agreeing to meet. And I'd very much like to see the ship again. It's been a long time. I was just a junior engineer then. This ship was everything we dreamed of, everything we hoped humanity could become. It's good to hear you're operational again. The whole truth, not just what's in the encrypted files." And we were surrounded by alien civilizations that had been watching us fight. Some were impressed, many were terrified. Wars were rare because everyone had similar technology, similar tactics. Victory went to whoever had more ships, more resources. It was predictable. A few dozen warships against enemy fleets of thousands. We should have been crushed in weeks. Instead, we held out for 3 years. And we did it with ships like this one. The ship moved like a living thing, graceful and deadly, doing things that seemed impossible. "We didn't fight the way we were supposed to fight," Dr. Acaffer continued. "We broke every rule because we didn't know the rules existed. We used weapons in ways they weren't designed for. We combined technologies that aliens kept separate. We made the aliens' own strengths into weaknesses. It was a generous offer. We'd have access to technology, trade routes, everything. But there was a condition. If humanity shared its military technology, every species would want it. Wars would break out across the galaxy as nations fought to control these innovations. Better to suppress it all, they said, for peace. Corporate interests control most of the galaxy's military technology. They have monopolies that have lasted for millennia. Human innovations threaten to destroy those monopolies overnight. Imagine if a small nation could build ships as effective as the Valiant Echo for a fraction of the cost. The entire power structure would collapse. So the Council forced Earth to choose peace and prosperity or war and isolation. But we didn't realize how far they would go to protect their interests. The agreement said we would mothball the Project Echo ships. We thought that meant storing them. Instead, they wanted them destroyed. Every ship, every blueprint. Every scientist who worked on the project was reassigned or pressured into retirement. The first was a Rigelian trader who found the Defiant Spirit 15 years ago. He tried to sell it openly. He was dead within a day, his ship destroyed. The pattern repeated. Anyone who found a Valiant Echo-class ship and tried to use it or sell it ended up dead. They clean up unauthorized salvage before it becomes a political problem. Dr. Akafer met his eyes. That's why I'm here, Mr. Chen. You're different from the others. You didn't try to sell the ship or run away with it. And when you were attacked, you disabled your enemies instead of destroying them. That showed judgment, restraint, the kind of thinking that made humanity respected, not just feared. The Council is meeting next month to discuss reopening the Project Echo files. A faction claims humanity suppressed technology that could benefit all species. They want to seize Earth's military archives and distribute the technology themselves. The Valiant Echo is proof that the suppression wasn't just Earth's choice. It was a deal made under pressure. If we can present this ship and its historical records to the Council, we can prove that the push to liberate human technology is actually a corporate power grab. With Arya's testimony and the archived records, we can expose the truth. But it's dangerous, Mr. Chen, very dangerous, if the corporations realize what we're planning. 15 ships, all corporate registry. They are forming an attack perimeter. They were a fleet. Arya, how did they find us? They betrayed me. Surrender immediately and you will be allowed to live. Resist and you will be destroyed. You have 1 minute to decide. You fought worse odds than this before, haven't you? 0 casualties on either side. There will be consequences. Show them what humanity built. The bridge displays showed tactical information in dizzying detail. Weapon ports opened across the hull. The shield generators hummed with power that made the air itself vibrate. 30 seconds to engagement, Arya announced. Dr. Akafer, recommend you secure yourself. This will be intense. This is Captain Marcus Chen of the Earth vessel Valiant Echo. You want to see what humanity buried? Here's your chance. Arya, show them everything. 15 ships surrounded them, firing from all directions. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around them with deadly light. But the warship flowed through the attack like water through a net, never where the enemy expected. Their tactical computers are using predictive algorithms, Arya explained calmly while executing a maneuver that turned Marcus's stomach. They calculate where we should be in 3 seconds and fire at that position. But I'm not where they think I'll be. The missiles shot past, their proximity sensors confused by the sudden change in the ship's thermal signature. 8 missiles redirected back toward enemy formation, Arya reported. Impact in 7 seconds. That was exactly what Arya wanted. The moment they separated from the main group, the Valiant Echo struck. The warship's weapons didn't fire continuously like normal ships. Instead, they pulsed with precise timing, each shot calculated to hit enemy shields at their weakest point in the regeneration cycle. It was like watching a master swordsman exploit tiny gaps in an opponent's defense. First ship disabled, Arya announced. Weapons offline, engines at 15%, crew safe. They're trying to synchronize their shield cycles to eliminate the weak points. Arya, what are you doing? Marcus gripped his chair. Trust me, Captain. The ship's shields flared. not with the typical blue glow of standard deflectors, but with cascading waves of different colors. Each energy beam that struck the shields was absorbed, redirected through the shield matrix, and channeled back out at a different angle. The enemy's own weapons fire bounced off the Valiant Echo and hit other corporate ships in the formation. Shield harmonics at variable frequency, Arya explained. Your grandmother's greatest innovation. Instead of blocking energy, we redirect it. The more they shoot at us, the more dangerous it becomes for them. Put them on. Human ship, the Vrexian said slowly. We were told you possessed a derelict vessel with obsolete systems. This is not obsolete. This is. We have no classification for what you just did. This is what humanity built during the Contact War. This is what the galaxy forced us to bury. But you have not killed anyone. Why? And I have never seen technology like this. If we continue this engagement, many of my people will die. I cannot justify that. Tell whoever hired you that the Valiant Echo is operational and under the protection of Earth. We can do this all day. Everyone will fear it. You have changed everything. Is it over? We present the Valiant Echo and her archives openly, before the corporations can spin this into a threat narrative. If we control the message, we can. More corporate security. How would they even know we're here? This ship had been influenced by the same principles that created the Valiant Echo, even if Earth wasn't supposed to be using that technology anymore. They're hailing us, Arya said. A human officer appeared on screen, a woman with commander's insignia and a stern expression. Dr. Okafor, this is Commander Lisa Reeves of the EDF ship Perseverance. We've been tracking your movements under sealed orders. You need to return to Earth immediately. Okafor said, I'm in the middle of a critical diplomatic mission. Whatever mission you thought you were on is over. The situation has escalated beyond your authority. Earth Command has ordered its return for proper containment. Mr. Chen, you've done admirably, but this situation requires official handling now. I mean proper handling according to treaty obligations and Earth security interests. Dr. Okafor, you know the protocols. If we return to Earth, we can present the case through official channels. You didn't even know your own security team had betrayed you until 10 minutes ago. How can you promise what Earth Command will do? Chen, Commander Reeves said, you're a civilian who happened to purchase a decommissioned warship. You've done well, but this is above your pay grade. Stand down. In a straight race, they would catch us. However, I have tactical advantages they lack. That would make you a criminal. Okafor sat at the bridge station, torn between duty and truth, and Arya waited patiently, loyal to whatever choice he made. He thought about his grandmother, about the message she'd left, about the 7 people who'd found these ships before him and died trying to keep them. Arya, he said quietly, you mentioned there were 12 Valiant Echo-class ships built. 11 were destroyed. We're the last one. However, 3 were scrapped at official salvage yards. Their hulls were too damaged to be useful, but portions of their systems were preserved for archive purposes. Commander Reeves, I'm not surrendering this ship. Not through official channels that can be suppressed, openly. Earth's been complicit by staying silent. No more secrets. They will come after you with everything they have. My grandmother commanded it. Are you going to help me honor that legacy, or are you going to let them erase it? God help us both. Okafor looked up at the screen. Commander, I suggest you tell Earth Command that the situation is more complex than they think. The Valiant Echo is going to the Galactic Council. If Earth wants a voice in what happens next, they should send representatives, not warships. The Perseverance is holding position, Arya reported. They are not pursuing. If we can recover data cores from the scrapped Valiant Echo ships, we'll have more evidence, more voices to tell the truth. I know every access code. She smiled slightly. Let's go wake up some ghosts. The valiant Echo turned away from the Perseverance and jumped to FTL, carrying its crew toward a confrontation that would shake the galaxy. The Kepler yards floated in the darkness between stars, a massive structure of metal and lights that had been processing salvage for 300 years. Ships from across the galaxy came here to die, their parts recycled and repurposed for new vessels. Marcus felt a strange sadness as the valiant Echo approached. Somewhere in those vast hangars were the remains of her sister ships, torn apart and forgotten. I'm detecting the salvage sections where military vessels are processed, Arya said. 3 valiant Echo-class ships were brought here over the past 40 years. Their hulls were completely dismantled, but station records show that their computer cores were preserved in Archive Bay 7. Galactic law requires that all military technology be archived for historical purposes, even decommissioned technology. The corporations destroyed the ships themselves, but they couldn't erase the official records without raising suspicion. They probably assumed no one would ever look. Within minutes, they were walking through the corridors of Kepler yards, following Arya's directions to Archive Bay 7. The bay was enormous, filled with row upon row of storage units containing data cores from thousands of ships. The air smelled like old electronics and preservation gel. There, Dr. Akafer pointed to a section marked with Earth's old military designation codes. That's them. Akafer carefully removed the first container and opened it. Inside was a crystalline data core, still intact despite decades of storage. She connected it to her portable terminal. The core is intact, she said, her fingers moving quickly across the controls. But it's locked with the same encryption Sarah used on the Valiant Echo. Marcus, I'll need Arya's help to access it. This is Commander Wu's ship, the Defiant Spirit. His logs are intact. This is Commander James Wu, final log of the Defiant Spirit, the hologram said. If you're watching this, you found us. You found what they tried to erase. Don't let them tell you that we gave this up willingly. We were forced to abandon our ships, threatened with isolation if we refused. They said it was for peace. Maybe it was, but peace built on suppressing the truth isn't real peace. It's just delayed conflict. The Valiant Echo was the prototype, but we were the proof that her design worked. 12 ships that changed the course of a war. 12 ships that showed the galaxy that humanity belonged among the stars. Don't let them forget that. Don't let them bury what we built. Each contained similar messages, each commander defiant even in their final logs, each one asking whoever found them to tell the truth. Arya, Marcus said, can you compile all of this? The Valiant Echo's complete archives, these messages, everything. I have created a comprehensive historical record. It includes tactical data, engineering specifications, personal logs, and evidence of the corporate suppression campaign. Too large to transmit easily, but I can compress the most critical elements into a broadcast package. Broadcast to whom? The diplomatic fallout would be catastrophic. Can you broadcast to the entire galactic network? We will have minutes before hostile forces arrive. You'll be painting a target on your back. Every corporation, every government that profited from suppressing this technology will want you silenced. Take your ship and go. I won't blame you. Maybe it's time I found out. She started working on her terminal. I'm routing power from my ship to boost the signal. If we're doing this, let's make sure everyone hears it, including the messages from the other ships, ready to transmit on your order. Send it all. Those stations automatically forwarded to other stations, spreading the signal like a wave across the galaxy. In 3 minutes and 40 seconds, billions of beings across thousands of worlds received the same message. The technology that had been buried, the ships that had been destroyed, the people who had been killed to keep it secret. and the proof that the suppression had been driven not by the need for peace, but by corporate greed and political fear. Transmission complete, ARIA announced. The data has reached approximately 74% of the galactic network. The remaining systems will receive it within the next hour. News networks were already picking up the story. Government channels were in chaos. Social networks exploded with reactions. "We're getting responses," Dr. Acaffer said, reading her terminal. "Thousands of responses per second. Marcus, look at this." A group of human scientists is calling it the most important historical document in a century. A Taurelian senator is demanding an investigation into the corporate suppression campaign. Even some Vrexian media outlets are publishing articles about hidden history. Several major corporations have issued statements condemning the release as dangerous military information. The Galactic Council has called an emergency session. Estimated arrival time, 6 minutes. Captain, we need to leave. Corporate security, military contractors, and Captain, one of them is from the Galactic Council Enforcement Division. We're too close to the station's gravity well. We need to clear the field first. Just get us to FTL range. She anticipated every attack, countered every attempt to box them in. Approaching safe jump distance, Arya said. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. The faster-than-light corridor embraced them, and suddenly everything was quiet. Marcus let out a breath. Where are we going? Earth will have to choose now. Support us or condemn us. There's no middle ground anymore. Making their own choices about what it meant. Captain, Arya said, I'm receiving a priority message. It's from Earth, from the Defense Council. They're guaranteeing our safety and offering us the chance to present our case to the public. He's the commanding officer of Earth's home fleet. I know you left Earth angry at the military, angry at the rules and the compromises. But son, what you did today was brave. Reckless, dangerous, but brave. Your grandmother would be proud. I'm proud. Let's finish what Sarah Chen started 40 years ago, together. And now here he was, commanding his grandmother's warship, doing exactly what he'd sworn he wouldn't do. Set course for Earth, Marcus said quietly. The Valiant Echo flew through the FTL corridor toward home, carrying the truth that would reshape the galaxy. 2 weeks later, the Valiant Echo was docked nearby, no longer a secret but a symbol. Arya had been giving tour to journalists and historians, sharing the full story of Project Echo. Dr. Acaffer joined him at the railing. The vote is tomorrow. The council will decide whether to investigate the corporate suppression campaign and review the treaty that buried the Valiant Echo program. Half of them are independent scientists, engineers, students, people who came to learn. The truth is out now. Even if the council votes against us, we've changed the conversation. Captain Chen, the admiral said formally, then hugged his son. The hearing is set for tomorrow morning. Earth will present the Valiant Echo as evidence of human innovation, not as a weapon. We're arguing that the galaxy benefits when new perspectives are welcomed, not suppressed. Whatever happens tomorrow, that matters. 37 species have announced new research programs inspired by human innovations. 12 governments are demanding reforms to prevent corporate monopolies. 7 news networks have won awards for their coverage of the story. The galaxy is changing. My grandmother taught you that. For honoring the memory of everyone who built these ships. This is just the beginning. And slowly, carefully, things began to change. Epilogue 6 months later. Arya served as curator, teaching visitors about innovation, restraint, and the courage to choose peace from a position of strength. Marcus Chen had returned to salvage work, but now he worked with an official mandate: find the remaining evidence of suppressed technologies across the galaxy, not to weaponize them but to preserve them, to ensure that good ideas were never lost to corporate interests again. Dr. Amara Okafor led a new council commission investigating the suppression campaign. 7 salvagers who had died were officially honored as heroes. Their families received justice. And across the galaxy, young beings from dozens of species visited the valiant Echo, asking Arya questions, learning about the humans who had built something extraordinary and then chosen to use it wisely. The museum's most popular exhibit was Sarah Chen's final message, playing on loop.